475.
Please.
475.
Cosine of 2 right now.
All right, everybody ready? Page 475.
You're not in the little camera thing.
Yeah, I can.
I'm not in the little camera thing?
Well, like when you were standing up there.
Yeah, I probably have to get more over here. Am I in the
Yeah.
little camera thing now? Okay, so how many smart points are there, Sadiq, in this total for probability sets and sequences? Page 475.
Is there 30?
Yeah, total of 30. And let's start with probability, which is on page 476. And let's start with the definition of probability. Ryan, what's the definition of probability?
It's outcome of one thing over the total outcome.
Yeah, and we say outcome of one thing.
The thing you're looking for.
Yeah, and the way that's usually expressed is the sum of all the desired outcomes. In other words, all of the ways there are for your desired event to happen, divided by the total number of outcomes. All right? It's usually said the sum of desired outcomes divided by the sum of total outcomes. Sum of desired outcomes divided by sum of total outcomes. All right. And that second box there, probability that something will not happen. Adnan, what is that?
Probability that something will not happen is equal to 1 minus the probability that will happen.
Yeah, 1 minus the probability that it will happen. Often it's easier to calculate one of those probabilities. And so you just calculate the one that's easier, and then you subtract that one from one to find the other. And the probability that two separate events will occur, Byron?
And multiply.
Multiply, very good. Yeah, if you got two separate events, and you want to know what's the probability that both of those events are going to happen, you multiply their two probabilities together. All right, so question number 1. Swap, read that for us.
Okay. One number is to be selected at random from each of the list above. What is the probability that both of the numbers selected will be less than 4?
All right. So we're looking for the probability that both of the numbers selected will be less than 4. So how many numbers is it that we're selecting here, Rohan?
1.
Check the problem again.
Yeah, because this is like one number is to be selected, and then it says what is the probability that both will be selected.
Yeah, notice we're selecting one number from each of the lists. All right. Yeah, so we're selecting a total of 2 numbers. So this is basically 2 different events. And since we want to know the probability that these 2 different events are happening, what are we going to do, Byron?
Multiply.
Yeah, we're going to calculate each individual probability and then multiply them together. So how many ways are there to select a number less than 4 from list number 1? Ryan?
2/3.
How many ways to select a number less than 4?
Oh, 2.
Yeah, there's 2 ways, and there's a total number of 3 ways. So that's going to be 2 times 2 over 3. And how many ways are there, Sandra, to select a number less than 4 from list number 2?
1.
Just 1. So 1 out of 3, that's going to be the probability of that second one. And you multiply these together, and you get 2 over 9, which is the probability we're looking at. Questions on this? All right. Page 477. Sets. Ryan, Steve? Thank you. Let's try there at the top of page 477. Read that first box for us, please, Rashmi.
The union of sets, sometimes expressed with the symbol U, is the set of elements that are either or both of the different sets you started with. Think of the union set as what you get when you add the original set.
Add, combine, put them together. Yeah. When you combine those 2 sets, that's called the union. So for those 2 sets given in that right-hand box, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, Keisha, what's going to be the union of those 2 sets? In other words, if you take both of those two sets and you just put them together, what's going to be the union? What's going to be all of those values?
So do I just like
Yeah, go ahead and list them for me.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then 6, 8, 10.
Good. That's the union of those two sets. You just combine the two sets. All right, let's talk about the intersection of two sets. Swati, read that next box for me.
The intersection of sets sometimes expressed as a symbol upside down.
Yeah, upside down, U, N. Yeah.
Okay. Is the set of elements common to the sets you started with. Think of the intersection as what you get when you isolate the
There's different ways to say it.
I know that you find the intersection when
Yeah.
you have the same numbers.
That's kind of how I think of it. When the sets intersect, some people say the way when they overlap.
Okay.
All right. So if I want the intersection of those two sets, Byron, what's going to be the intersection of the two sets 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 2, 4, 6, 8, 10?
2, 4. And that's it.
That's it. Yeah, 2 and 4. That's the only two numbers that are common to both sets, so that's their intersection. All right. Question number 2. Adnan, read that for us, please.
Set C is 4, 6, 8, B, D, F, H. Set D consists of the integers between O and 5, exclusively vowels. The intersection of C and D includes which of the following?
All right. So we're looking for the intersection of these two sets, and we got 3 choices, so let's just take them one at a time. Is A in the intersection of those two sets, Ryan?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Yeah, question number 2.
Oh, okay.
And we're just going through each one of the answer choices. Is A in the intersection of those two sets?
No.
No, it's not. Keisha, is the number 4 in the intersection of those two sets?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's in both sets. And is the number 8, Harith, is the number 8 in the intersection of those two sets? No, it's not. So what's our answer choice?
B.
B, yeah. It's only number 2. All right. Questions on that one? All right. Page 478, sequences. And read that first box for us, please, Sandra.
An arithmetic sequence is formed by adding some constant to the previous term, known as the difference between two terms.
All right. And so the next term in the arithmetic sequence 963 is going to be what? I don't know.
0.
0. Yeah. What are you doing to each term in order to get the next term? Yeah, you're subtracting 3. All right. A geometric sequence, Swati.
A geometric or exponential sequence is one in which each term equals the previous term multiplied by some constant known as the ratio between terms.
Right. And so the next term in the geometric sequence in the next box is going to be what, Swati?
You know it. 54.
54, yeah. And what is the ratio? What's the number that you're multiplying?
30.
3. Yeah, you multiply each number times 3. Sometimes merely studying the numbers in a sequence is sufficient to get the answer. I would say most of the time. In the SAT questions, just studying the numbers. Other times, and it gives you this formula, and let me write that down in case, I'm not sure if it's entirely clear in the book. The formula for a geometric sequence, you can write as a sub 1 times r to the n minus 1. In other words, the nth number in a geometric sequence is the first number times your ratio to the n minus 1 power. Again, it's rare, I find, on SAT problems, it's rare that you need this formula. But there it is for what it's worth. And then the arithmetic sequence is A1 plus n minus 1 times d, and d is the difference formula. All right, so if you happen to be a formula kind of person, there's your formulas. Let's take a look at a typical SAT sequence question number 3. Harv, read that question for us.
In the geometric sequence of what is the value of x?
Right, so what is it we're looking for, Byron?
The value of x.
Value of x. And what kind of a sequence is this, Sadiq?
The geometric.
Geometric sequence, which means we're multiplying by something. So which two numbers in this sequence would it make sense to look at to figure out what it is that we're multiplying by? Ron?
The first two.
4/3 and 1?
Yeah.
Okay, that might be 1. Looks like to me, yeah, if you look at 1 and 3/4, then it kind of jumps out at you that, oh, I'm multiplying by 3/4, yeah. So if I'm multiplying by 3/4 and I want to know what x is, then Keisha, what am I going to want to do?
3/4 times
3/4 times,
3 times 3/4.
yeah, times 3/4. So I want to go from 3/4 to the next number. I multiply these together. That gives me 9/16. Answer choice C is 9/16. All right. Notice you didn't really need any kind of fancy formula of a geometric sequence for this one. You just kind of have to look at the sequence. You know it's a geometric sequence, so you know you're going to be multiplying, and you just kind of take it from there. All right. Questions on any of these? All right. Let's go ahead and take a 10-minute break. And then when you come back, you can get in your 2 groups this time for your guided group. So I'll see you back here about 7:25.
I'm going to prove you guys.